Okay, it's about 8:40 p.m. and today is Monday, and it is August the 23rd, 2021. Welcome to week number three. The halfway point. At the end of this week, we will have 3 more modules to go, and the course will be over. So now, let me say something to all of my students that is so important. This is not the first time I said it. You must operate using APA. Even with that first assignment, you needed citations in the body. And then you had a reference page. Most of you had a reference page. But you also must follow what the rubrics say. You must use those as a checkoff to make sure. Some of you didn't do the slides appropriately based on what the requirements were in each section of the rubric, and you lost points for that. All right. I don't know about week 2 yet because I'm going to be grading them. The other thing I want to say is if you see a 0 on Mondays, then what that means is that you didn't turn in an assignment. That may or may not be your final grade. If you never turn in anything else, that's going to be your final grade, but you still have a chance to turn it in. The third thing I want to say is if you have an issue or a question, reach out to me. Some of you understand clearly what that means because I hear from you, and I will talk to you extensively about what needs to be done. I want to say that there are some students who say to me that APA has not been focused on by other professors. I can't respond to that any other way except I follow what the school says we should do. It is in the syllabus. I talk about it all the time. I provide extra resources in the home page in the form of announcements. You have an announcement in there that have sources, and I invite you to go to get a tutor. Now, the reason why I'm so dogmatic about APA is because it correlates with the responsibilities that we as professors have in terms of making sure that you are prepared when you leave this school to be able to operate on a professional level. I don't want people coming back and say, oh, at Rasmussen, they don't teach that. That's not true. We do teach it. At least I do. And anybody who's in any of my classes will learn very seriously that it is important for you to learn that. I make a guarantee to you. I have students in all areas that I have taught. I've taught in the medical aspects of it, medical law and ethics. I've taught criminal justice ethics, business ethics, and business law. And I remind students that if you do this, you will be well prepared. I got a lot of students who have responded back to me who are friends of mine on Facebook, which, by the way, I invite you if you want to connect with me through Facebook, go to Richard Wright JD, and you know, it comes something that's beneficial for after you graduate because I write letters of recommendation and assist people in terms of elevating themselves. I got a student in business now who she just bought a home, and she was one of my students in medical law and ethics. She became a pharmacist. Then I have students who are high up in Amazon, who are high up in other companies that they got those promotions because they were above what some students did in their presentations. And by the way, you're going to do presentations when you do leave here unless you do manual work. If you do manual work, then you won't, but you're not going to school, so you can do manual work. So I had to say all of that at the beginning because I'm very concerned about when I do see situations. And then reach out to a tutor if you have a problem with APA. But there's so many sources in this course that I add that other professors don't. So I had to start out by talking about that because the fact when I observe something, I bring it to your attention. I'm sharing my screen and I want to go back. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, announcements. This is what I meant to do. Take you back again. Your announcements. APA assistance. It's right there. This video explains why citations and references are important. Very, 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 very important that you grasp this. Click on it, open it, click on it again, and there it is. You got everything you need. You got a tutorial video that can help you. You got a toolkit that helps you with sample papers, templates, APA tutoring. So look what it says. Rasmussen University requires students to adhere to the guidelines of the publication manual of the APA. Schedule an appointment with a tutor for help improving your use. I can't stress enough. Very important. Your grade point average will jump up tremendously in my class if you just get that concept, because many of you understand what you're doing and I read it and I understand it, and then utilize the things I provide you, like how to understand contracts that must be in writing, the statute of frauds, and that. So all right, so I just want to make sure that before we move forward that I do this, because I don't mind talking to you, but I like to make sure that you understand this is not a minor thing. This is an important thing when it talks to AP about APA. So anyway, and then messages, these are messages. Let's see, I didn't mean to show this one. Let's go back to this. I'm going to go to, where is it? It's covered up. Oh, there it is. Student preview, because I don't want you to see messages. Students reach out to me, because there are students that reach out to me and ask me questions. All right. So anyway, you go to your messages, and that's how you'll see the messages that I have sent out to everybody. This is only to everybody. There are individual messages that I have. However, remember, if you have a problem, the worst way to reach out to me with your problem is email. Going back and forth with emails, you really can't get much accomplished. You get more accomplished by a phone conversation. And students that have been in my classes, even in this class, totally understand. And I do not rush you when I talk to you. And you never know when I'm going to call you. Just like, again, I had a situation before this class in another class where a student called me with a real bad situation about not understanding things. So I believe in taking the time. All right. So you have to remember how I am. I'm more pro-student than any professors that most of you guys are going to have. So let's look at the grade book again. Remember, in the grade book, when you see your grades, look at the rubric in the grade book. Some students say, oh, I look at the paper and see if there's comments on there. I usually prefer using, since they gave us a rubric that they want us to follow, I give you your comments directly on that. That way it's more objective, and you'll see what you can able to correct in terms of it. But you gotta follow it, guys. You gotta follow that rubric. It is so important. All right. So now let's come down and let's see this week's assignments. You had discussion, consumer protection laws, your written assignment, federal laws, business report, and then your live classroom lecture. I also want to say, okay, I'll deal with that in a minute. Let's do this. Let's start with the assignment. And the reason I want to start with the assignment is because, okay, this says 1 attempt left. All right, so what I got to do is fix that. I think I was talking to a student already, and that what I want to do is fix that a minute. Give me a minute. I want to see if I can. I might not be. Oh, I'm in student preview. I can't do it. That's why I can't do it. All right, I'll have to fix that, because here's what I want to say. When you submit your assignments, sometimes people, after they hear the lecture, even before I grade it, will realize, oh, I got to go back, because some people have submitted lectures, or assignments for week 3 already before I do the lecture. But you want to make sure that you go back and do another. Now it says you have 1 attempt, but that shouldn't be, because you should have as many attempts during the course of the week to do it. And the reason why is because sometimes people submit 1 attempt and they inadvertently don't attach something to it, and that would mean then you don't have a chance to correct that. That's not the way that this is supposed to be set up. So I control that, but I'll work on getting that fixed for you. So if you find out that you do have a problem and you still see that it won't allow you, let me know, so that I can go ahead and fix something, because I got a student right now that's waiting for me to fix something that I told them to, and they said they couldn't submit the change, and I'll have to do that right after this lecture for a student. All right, so let's go back to this. Okay, let's look at the assessment. Okay, so the scenario, you read the scenario. Now, you apply the scenario. Select at least, see how I highlight it? How many laws? Now, there will be students who will write papers. They'll submit 1 law, 2 law, 3 laws, and lose points. But if it tells you 4 and they want to highlight 4, it's important to impact the business, trade, or operations. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission, our agencies, U.S. Department of Commerce, and Department of Labor are helpful resources for finding this. You're going to need to write not 1 page, not 2 pages, but 3 pages, a minimum of 3 pages. In a business report, your business report should be in narrative form. Explain how each law or regulation, and identify how each affects the businesses within the state and its communities. What long-term impact do you think these laws may have on business, both locally and generally? So if you read this carefully, it says you've recently earned a competitive internship with a state government office. Your position will support upper level leadership through business research and analysis. As your agency oversees the variety of professional and occupational licenses, your director has requested that you research and evaluate different federal laws, okay, concerning business, trade, and operation. Specifically, management is seeking a discussion as to how different federal laws may impact local and state companies. Okay, now remember, we're talking about in your instructions 4 laws. Do you think that in reading this that they're talking about state laws or federal laws? Which ones? Type in the chat box. Yep, yep, yep. And the reason why they want to do this in this assignment, I take my hat off to them this time for doing that, that they don't want you to worry about what your state says, because each state is going to have some different things. But be aware of one thing: the state cannot overrule the federal, because federal law goes over, because that's where the constitutional issues tie in. So we're dealing with federal agencies. Okay, that's what we're talking about. And they gave you some really good start here. All right. Do you have, let me go back before I do that. I want to get out of this. And I want to come back. Then I'm going to ask, do you have any questions? Okay, here we go. Everybody see what I just did? Okay. Now, that unlimited means, yes, the reason why it should be unlimited is because of the fact that you should be able to. Now, if I do week 1 and 2 like that, I can put unlimited, but the problem will be is that you're past the time for points. You're past 7 days, right? Past 14 days for 7. So that's the problem. But unlimited means that you should be able to submit it the number of times allowed. And I'll do that for written assignments, not quizzes. But how many quizzes do we have in this course? Okay. All right. How many tests? Just make sure you all are paying attention. Okay. You got to remember one thing about me that you'll never, I think you'll appreciate later, is that I keep you on your toes. I don't, I want you to not be into a lull. Okay. All right. So I fixed that. I'm sure that each and every one of you will appreciate that point. So I'm going to go through each module and I'm going to fix that for you. And that'll only be for written assignments. Okay. All right. So now that we gotten that out the way, let's look at the rubric. Now, oh wow, they went back and fixed it, or they fixed it by this week. Do you see something different that you didn't see in the rubrics before at the top of criteria? The labels. Yeah, but the labels that are there are, I'm going to show you. Let's come out of that just to show you. I think I'm right. Now, what they probably did was they're probably going to go back and let's see, let's get out of this. Let me see if I'm right. But I think I'm right because I had this discussion with somebody. Let's go back. Okay, let's look at week 2, for example. The assignment. Look at the grading rubric just to show you what I'm talking about. See, this is what I was talking about. Okay, now they somebody see, but see what they did? They got emerging, but see in between these two columns here, they weren't adjusted. And then you don't see that adequate across anymore. You shouldn't have. You should have seen what's in module 3. Everybody see my point? Yep, mastery should. That's right. Mastery has always been the highest because that's the one I've been talking about. But the way that they had it in there, it wasn't clear to you guys. So somebody started out sloppy, but they didn't. They didn't. So anyway, let's get back to where we were. In the meantime, all right. So let's go back to the rubric, and you see what I mean right away. You see, mastery advanced, proficiency. You didn't see that these two in here in the others. You should have, because this is A, this is a B, and this is C and D, depending on the number of points, and this is F. So that's why I tell students, don't even read these. Start looking at this. So it's mastery. It goes consistent with what I said at the beginning of the course, that I worked for AB students, honor roll and dean's list, to get you there. In this class, to get the grade that will keep you up there, you want to be mastery in terms of completing your assignments. That makes sense? Okay, good. Very good. So now let's look at this. So look at what it does. It says for quantity requirement, at least 4. See, so look what happens if you go down, just to show you, by the time you get over here, did not include at least 4. So guess what happens? If you don't have 4, you could either end up here, but more likely here. Did not include at least 4 laws or regulations. That means you've jumped all the way from 100% to 55%. That's bad. Only because you didn't have 4. The achievement of this criteria is assessed at either emerging or mastery levels. You see what I said? You see what I mean? Everybody understand why I'm saying don't look at these? This is achieved, is assessed at either emerging or mastering. Where you want to do your assignments is at mastery. Okay. It's for your benefit, trust me. It'll pay off. So 4, laws and regulations effects on business. Thorough. Thorough. Somebody might say that's a relative term. Well, I beg to differ, because when you provide information, providing an explanation of each of the laws and how they affect the business or trade, that's thorough. That's thorough. Substantial explanation would be you list the laws, but you don't elaborate on how they affect. You guys understand that one because I've had discussions with students about that. Then the third one, you have a reasonable explanation of how, and then very limited or none as to how they affect business, trade, or regulations. So you want to do this. You want to 4, and you want to have a thorough explanation of how the law or regulation affect business or operations. All right, I'm spending a lot of time on this because I don't want to see you, as they say, this is not oil you're sliding in. I want you to move on, get your grades up. And I hope you appreciate that because of the fact that I care. That's why I do it. All right. Thorough, a long-term impact, the long-term impact. a thorough and detailed explanation of long-term impact each of the chosen regulation laws would have. All right. Then down here you get to APA. See, there it is. Look, no grammar or spelling errors and in-text citations. Do I say that all the time, people? Yes or no? Okay. I got up close to the camera. Okay for that one. All right. I'm in my parent mode, students. I gotta be this way. I gotta be this way. You know. Um, I gotta. If you are 71 years or over, and if you've got the amount of experience I got, then let me know and I won't talk to you like that. Because I'll say you shouldn't even be in this class. You should be teaching it somewhere. All right. Okay. All right. I've been in your shoes already. All right. I think I told one student already that I was taught in school excellence and I still have footprints on my bottom because of that. All right. But guess what? My bottom sits in a nice chair. I got an ergonomic chair with a pillow thing on the back. Go Bears, you know. But I did that because I still got those footprints. But that's all right. I have a good living, and that's what I want you to do. I guess all I'm simply saying is I wish success for every one of my students. All right. So in text citations, do you see or references or do you see and references? You don't have to answer. That's rhetorical. It says and references included in proper APA format. Uh-oh. I'm talking about APA again. Can't get around it. Few grammatical errors with some in-text citations, then you're going to end up in proficiency for this part here. Look at that. That's 10% of the grade right there. Some errors. If you don't have any references or citations, I'm not even going to jump from here to here. I'm jumping right over here. And that will lower your grade. So I'm trying to show you how not to lower your grade. Now the question that I want to ask. Speak now. Do you have any questions about this assignment? I see nothing said. That means either you didn't get what I said or the answer is no, you have no questions. But I'm going to presume that it's no questions. Now, okay. I'm going to help you with that one. I think I know what you said. Do we need an introductory paragraph? What does a good writer always do? You should always have an introductory paragraph because it sets the stage. I always write with an introductory paragraph because I want to let my readers know what they're about to learn, what information I'm about to impart. Okay? So I want to eliminate that from your questions about any paper that you do. It should be for anybody. I just say all of this to say that what I ask myself when I'm doing an assignment is this. I follow the instructions, but I also want to give a opening paragraph to let them know what's coming. Now, the title is not the introductory and the subtitle. No, that's not that. That's no, 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 no. Introductory information is information where you explain some of the info. You might get a general statement or something that applies. Okay, that should be at the beginning of a paragraph. Headers are good, but headers are don't introductory. That's organizational. Your audience in this scenario is management because it tells you in the scenario specifically who's doing it. That's a good question though. But you have to you have it right here. Specifically, management is seeking discussion. Incidentally, when you start to do reports for your employers, generally, aren't you doing them for management anyway? I know, I know what you said, but isn't that true? Sometimes in your current career, yeah. Well, I got news for you. Uh, it's all the time in your current career. I would always write as if I'm writing to management because it is. Because do you one day want to be management? Do you want to be management? Do you want to be management? Okay. I know that little Tanya said, yes. Oh, you are currently. Okay, but guess what? But you still have management above you, right? Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. So, it's like one of the people that I knew, and I should let you guys know this, and he was a friend of mine, um, was the late Ray Kroc. Any of you guys know who Ray Kroc was? You ever heard the name Ray Kroc? Latonya never heard that name. Anybody else heard the name? Willie hasn't heard that name. Yes, yes. McDonald's. Mr. Kroc was the chairman and founder of McDonald's. They did a movie about him, remember? About it. But Mr. Kroc was about the size of Danny DeVito, and and you know, yeah, most of us worked for him. Yeah, really, I worked for him at the McDonald's that is on 100. Well, now it's on 115th, near 115th and Halsted Street. Uh, and then there used to be at 117th and Halsted before it was there. So I worked at that McDonald's. But Mr. Kroc was uh, um, McDonald's was one of the clients of that law firm that if you listen to my story, I talked about where I started in the mailroom and I took him a package one day and met him. And Mr. Kroc took to me and it explained to me how he started McDonald's and all of that. So what I'm simply saying to you, and I use that as an example, is because I know people who were managers. I know people who were assistant managers. I was a grillman. I didn't handle the money and that. I worked on that. No, I didn't want to be his assistant. I did not. No, because I was on my way to becoming a lawyer. I was a messenger. I was a messenger who took packages to him, but Mr. Kroc saw that I was a person heading somewhere. So he sat down and asked me business questions. And I used to sit and talk to him. And he taught me something. And one of the things I never forgot was he said, I didn't go to college. And if you read his story or look at the movie, he didn't do that. He went in the army. And then he met these McDonald brothers out in, I think it was San Bernardino, California. Now, I got all this from him before it came out in books and all that. And that he liked their business and he started it out. And one of the things he did was hired people he could trust who were very smart in all areas. He said, I had an accountant I can trust. He said, I had lawyers who I could trust, which I knew because I was working for those lawyers. And he said, and I had marketing people that I can trust. I got my products from certain things, like all the fries used to come from a company called JR Simplot, which he had. Anyway, I'm saying all this to say to you guys that you guys in business, you got to understand that if you were writing this thing here and you're working for McDonald's, you had to presume that at some point it could end up in Mr. Croc's hand, even if you were writing it for your boss who was the assistant manager. No, McDonald's actually, Mr. Croc offered me a franchise, but I told him I didn't have time to do that because I was on my way to law school. Because I already knew I was going to go to law school, and I don't regret it though. I like what I did, because I've had friends who have 10 McDonald's and stuff like that, and it was pretty challenging. So, but anyway, all I'm simply saying to you guys is focus as if you're writing it to, um, if you worked for Amazon, if you're writing it to Jeff Bezos, or one of those people, Microsoft, you're writing it to whoever is running that right now. I'm not sure who that is anymore because Bill Gates has kind of stepped down, but you know what I'm talking about, and so forth and so on. Okay, so we haven't gotten very far, but everybody got now the assignment. You're good? Okay. All right. So now let's go on to the rest of this stuff. You got a discussion forum. And by the way, that written assignment is due the 29th, along with your live classroom phrase that I'm going to give you as well. Okay. Then your discussion post, which is due tomorrow night, your initial post dealing with the Federal Trade Commission, um, and the Bureau of Consumer Protection, which enforces the laws regulating safeguards for individual and business organization. Um, and so you can review the content on the FTC site, which they give you here. And you should be able to click on this and it will take you to it. There it is, right there. And you can find the information that you need to find there. If you find something on there, learn how to cite it. Anyway, I whispered that because I don't require citations in it, but get into the habit of it anyway. So for your initial post, consider the rules and standards maintained by the Bureau of Competition and address the following in your initial post. These points here. And then they say APA. Again, I'm not contradicting myself. I don't require APA for this. That's what the course says they want you to do. But I do say this, I encourage it because it's good practice. All right. It's a habit to develop. I have students that even if I don't require them, they still do them anyway. And I let you know that in my comments. If you read my comments, some students for discussion posts, just see how many points they got. See why you got all your points, see why you didn't. I have standard answers I give. And then that's due tomorrow night. And then Saturday, this is a reply to another classmate's post. Any questions about the discussion forum? Okay. All right, good. So we got that now. All right, let's go into the calendar. So the month view, here we are. A reminder, we're at the 23rd. So your live lecture. By the way, if you couldn't say, oh, I couldn't find the link anywhere. Well, it's in the announcement. but it's in here too. If you clicked on this, it will take you down. There it is right there. If you clicked on it, it will bring you right into it. I won't click on it because it'll create a problem. You'll hear me double, and it's all right just to hear me single. You don't need to hear me double. All right, so then coming down here, it tells you your initial post is due, then your reply post, and then it reminds you of what I said, your written assignment and live lecture. And then we start over again, and look at what happens. Let's go back again. The last day of class is the 17th of this month. The course absolutely ends on the 17th, not the 18th, not the 19th, or the 20th. All right. So time is winding up, good people. So that's the calendar. Now, I want to go back to, a student said to me, how do I call you? Well, here's how you call me again. You go to Course Tools, and then you go to the syllabus. And when you open up the syllabus, the second thing you see tells you my office hours, which you already know, but it tells you my office phone number right there. 630-660-8480. Here it is right here. And I will talk to you about it. All right. And then it reminds you about the importance of APA and stuff like that. That's one of the places. The other place that you can find it is if you go to here, course chat at the bottom. Course chat. And you see this little blurb about me. And if you get all the way to the bottom, it tells you the phone number again. All right. It tells you my email without the 2, and it tells you my personal email, which feel free to use. That's why it's there. Okay. So anyway, I had to tell you that because somebody keeps asking me about that. And so I always end up having to do that. All right. So let's go back. Let's see the announcements. Okay, so our announcement for this week tells you that the topic that we're discussing, let's move this out the way, government and consumer protection. But you should know that already because of the assignments. Textbook chapters 5, 13, and 17, you should have the PowerPoints. And then the activities, government regulation, impact government regulations and organizations, regulations, agencies, and then the practice flashcards for you. And it tells you again when the lecture is taking place, and once again a hyperlink. You click on that and it tells you where to come. And then it gives your discussion assignment that I've given you deadlines, and your written assignment, and then a reminder to continue to go strong, start strong, finish strong. And then my motto, which those of you who have taken the time to listen to this video, you will know what that's all about. And that's the announcements. Okay. So now we got to get to a few more things. We've pretty much covered everything here. So I'm going to just touch over. We got just 5 minutes. I didn't mean to do that. This thing goes on its own. I'm trying to move this. There we go. All right. So let's talk about government regulations impact, which you'll want to use this as a start to help you with your information. And it gives you the fact that the agencies that involve primarily is the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission. And look at this, what it says about Amazon. Amazon will pay more than 61.7 million to settle charges that it failed to pay Amazon Flex drivers the full amount of tips they receive from the Amazon customers over a 2.5-year period. The FTC complaint alleged that the company stopped its behavior only after becoming aware of the FTC's investigation. Shame on you, Jeff Bezos. You got all that money. But the Federal Trade Commission is, yeah, it's sad. Excuse me, it's greed, good people. Remember what I said about operating ethically? Ethically, it'll come back and bite you otherwise. Okay. So anyway, I'm trying to show you what the Federal Trade Commission does. And it protects against unfair, deceptive, and fraudulent practices. And consumers file complaints. Just like you go to Better Business Bureau is not where you go, but you can file complaints in your state for consumer fraud and things of that nature. You got the labor laws that protect you. And so they sue companies who break the law. Okay. But yeah, that saddens me. And it should sadden you, because the fact that, geez, I mean, my goodness, you guys got all that money, and then you got to take the little tips that the people to get that are working out there. Shame on you. But here's what I explain to people. The law, no, it is not. Law is there to protect us. I say us as those of us who are working people, and consumers who purchase items. And it should be there to protect also the companies, but the companies have to operate ethically. When I taught business law and ethics, business ethics specifically, I learned about Taco Bell, which is why I don't go there anymore, is because the government, FDA, allows a high percentage of fillers to be put in their meat. Did you know that? It's not 100% beef. It's not, they use fillers. Some people didn't know that. But there are things that the government allows, but even, yeah, yeah, that's why I don't go to Taco Bell anymore. The whole course I taught a full, yeah, a lot of people I know don't go there because they know that. Um, there was a lady, Wendy's, what I like about Wendy's is that where's the beef? You know, they have beef. You could tell some of these places. But anyway, the bottom line and point I'm just saying is that even the government allows some of these companies to not give, but they have to state it that it's not 100% beef. But if it has fillers, I don't even want to go into what fillers can be, but just use your imagination. All right, government regulations and organizations. So this tells you specifically the consumer safety product. You know, they do recalls and things that aren't working well, and it talks about creating leadership and jobs. I'm not going to read this. You'll go over this yourself. But these are the agencies that you're going to deal with. So you're going to deal with the FTC, who's your friend, and the Consumer Product Safety Commission monitors the production of goods and the standards and recalls, because there are recalls almost all the time in vehicles, in almost everything that you know, in even car seats, baby seats, you name it, they have them. So the government looks out for those kinds of things for you. All right. Here's a comment. How do you expect patterns, activities, and outcomes in business to change in upcoming years? For example, do you think broader regulation will be imposed? Probably. And you should know that regulations changed and increased when the internet came into being. That changed the whole operation of business. And the more we progress with our information society, using that World Wide Web, which almost everybody relies on, because you look at going back to Amazon. Amazon has created almost a semi-monopoly for getting things done. I'm a member of Amazon Prime. I pay $12.99 a month because when I order something, generally I get it the next day or so, unless it's something that doesn't qualify for Prime. And all kinds of different things that they do. But it's because of the products themselves that are manufactured now by the companies. Then they should have a certain standard, and the public should be considered uh, safe from injury. And if not, there are lawsuits, and the lawsuits can result in what we call class action lawsuits, where a group of people come together and they file suit together with one representative, and they end up getting monies back. Regulations and agencies. So this is going to be part of what you deal with, considering the organizations and the agencies, the EPA, IRS. I told you already one that's not mentioned in here when it comes to dealing with the content of food, the FDA, um, the Federal Drug Administration, and you deal with food additives and all of those different things. You've got telemarketing sale rules, about do not calling, Identity Theft Act, Fair Credit Reporting, Clayton Act, and there's so many others. But the Federal Trade Commission is the administrative agency that operates a lot of these type of laws, and they fall under. But EPA, this is for air and water. I don't even have to tell you about the IRS, okay? So you know about that. So that's how business function as the topic of this week's lecture has been talking about consumer protection and the government. Excuse me. And the government uses these agencies to protect you. I just don't know who protects us from the Internal Revenue. Okay. But anyway, that's a little side thing. Wait a minute, I saw that. Let me see that again. We're on our own on that one. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So I guess what you have to do there is make sure that you are obeying the law, and so anyway. Well, guys, that's it for this week. And I'm going to ask you if you have any questions about anything. This is more regulatory this week than anything. Any questions? Nobody have no questions? What is it, AB? You got a question. What is it? Shoot. Either way. Either way. Long as what you just said last sets up. Either way. Remember, the template just gives you a format and a suggested format. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, okay. You don't have no other questions? If I was in this class, I would say, Professor, I do have a question. And the question is, what's the key phrase? I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. Any suggestions? Because I got one already in mind. Those of you who are here, do you have any suggestions for a phrase for tonight? Nope. Too broad. Well, I guess it's not really too broad, but that's not it. Nope. You and AB on the same page. What about you, Latanya? What do you think? Any guess? That should be the key phrase for every week. No, it's consumer protection. Consumer protection is the key phrase. Does that cover what we talked about tonight? Yes or no? Okay, there we go. So give me that, guys, and I'll see you next week. Again, um, this was a good week for me to get this done because of the kind of materials that we had this week that you're gonna have to complete for your written assignment. But come on, let me not have to spend a lot of time doing this. And as long as I see it, I'm gonna mention it again. But anyway, you know, and again, like I said, for the people who didn't get it earlier, my number is 630-660-8480. Okay. And you can call me, text me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. None of you guys have so far reached out to me the 25th hour of the day that I know of. Okay. Because if you have, then I want to know how you get that. But anyway, enough. See you next week. Get those assignments done. Let's come on. Let's get on exemplary. Let's stay there. Can we submit our assignment twice, even prior to you grading? The last one. Okay. Did I answer that question already? Did I answer that question already? Okay. But okay, so then you asked it too. Did you? Oh no, Latanya asked that question. Okay. The answer is yes. Again. But remember, it's not, don't submit the same assignment more than once. If you discover after you've done that, and if by chance I happen to be able to grade it before that, which is, like I said, going to be rare with this number of students that I have here, but sometimes I'm able to do that. All right. So the answer is yes. Just like, for example, if you, now that's to, listen to me, that pertains to written assignments, does not involve discussion posts, does not involve other stuff. All right, like the key phrase, you know, but it's pretty good, easy to get the key phrase there. So, all right. Okay. So yeah, I did that, and I'll say it. I hope you don't mind because I'm going to say it. AB and I had that discussion about unlimited. Am I right? Didn't we have that discussion? Yes. And I hope you don't mind me doing that. But actually, it was him who brought it to my attention. You guys, so he should get the credit for that. So okay. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.